Hey everyone, welcome to Birds of a Feather. Once upon a time, there was a little red beetle, and then it was time to say goodbye. But this is a happy story of how to let that little red beetle live on as laser engraved word art. If that piques your interest, stick around to learn how.
Color outside the lines.
It's all going to start inside Procreate with a picture of our beetle. Then we're going to open up the program and we're going to trace the drawing on another layer. I'm going to pick a color, and it doesn't really matter what color it is, but I'm going to fill certain areas of the car so that when we generate it in the word generator, it's going to fill those spaces with words. I'm going to leave some of these sections blank because I don't want words to appear wherever I leave it white. Keep in mind that your picture doesn't necessarily have to be a car. It can be anything. So we're going to go ahead and save it as a PNG. We're going to export it, and then we're going to bring it into the word generator. So let's open that up. So let's get started. We're going to create it here in wordart.com. We're going to click create. I'll choose a blank template. Now these are ones I've already created, and I'm going to show you how we did it. So let's hit create. First, we're going to import our words. I've already copied them. Let's see if I can just paste them in. Okay, that's looking good. Now we're going to import our shape. I've already drawn my image, so I'm just going to click on my PC here. Let's select this. We're going to add this. Now we're going to move on to fonts. I'm going to select one that is pretty plain. Let's see what we have here. Let's choose Expressway. Now we're moving on to the next section, which is layout. And the layout is going to be both horizontal and vertical. Now let's define the amount of words. Let's do about 232. Let's choose the style. I'm going to make that transparent because I don't want to see it, but I'm going to leave that here for now so that I can show you how that looks. Before we go any further, I'm going to visualize it so you can see what's happening. As you can see, everything's coming in different colors here, so we're going to delete these colors. We're going to go into this one and we're just going to choose black and apply it. Now, as you can see, this is the opacity of our background shape. And we don't want that, so we're going to take that down to 0, and there we go. Now I'm going to go back to words, so let's save that as is. As this is just a demo, I didn't name this, but you would type in a title for your file. Now if you want to move a few of these words around, so for instance beetle, I want it to be horizontal. So we're going to go into the angle here, and we're going to make it horizontal. Same with beetle. And I'm going to add a phrase. This is a nod to Dr. Seuss. Okay, so let's move this up. Actually, instead of moving it up, what I can do is just change the number, and it'll move right up to the top. So anytime you make a change, you're going to have to revisualize it here. So click the button again. So I've got I do not like them in a car here, and I'm noticing that the words are falling within some of the letters. So let's go into layout and let's uncheck that. Let's visualize it again. If you don't like what you see, you can visualize it as many times as you like. I'll go back to the words. And for some reason the beetle is not horizontal. Let's bump that up. Try this again. So we have it here. Let's make that a 3. Let's take that down to a 1. That's looking pretty good. Now, you can play around with a lot of these different settings. So you can go into the layout and you can change the density. So if you want more space, you're going to slide it to the right, and less space, you're going to slide it to the left. Let's see what happens if we slide it to the right. Let's take the word count down. Let's visualize it again. As you can see, you can really play around with it. Now, if you visualized and you don't like it, you can undo it, but you can only do it so many times. So be sure that you're saving. You can do a file save as or a file save. If you want to do a file save as, you're going to go into File, do a save as, and you're going to change the name. So you can play with this to your heart's content. And again, I like the beetle like this horizontally, and I like this horizontally too, so I can read it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now we're ready to move on to printing this on our xTool P2. Now I've already saved a version, and it's not this exact one. I just showed you this as a demo. I also want to let you know that you can actually pick any shape. So you want to do a heart, you can do a heart. Visualize that. And again, I'm going to undo it. So let's get printing. Now you're going to be exporting it, and if you're going to be doing it to Engrave on your xTool P2 like I did, you're going to want to save it as an SVG, so you're going to have to purchase a package. So if you go into Export, if you go into SVG, I've already got SVGs purchased, so I don't want to export this right now, but you can go to PNG free. While the site does allow you to save a PNG free of charge, as you can see, it is a little pixelated, so that's not the format that you want for this particular project. You are going to have to purchase a package or a one-off and save it as an SVG if you do want to do this project. Let's just go back here and I'll show you which one we're actually printing. I did take this into Illustrator to format it and to add a phrase, as you'll see in a moment. So let's go ahead and print it on our xTool P2. I've imported my image, and now I have to tell XES exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to try to click off of this. Let's just hit ignore here. Since this round circle is a cut function, and we're not going to need it because we already have a round cut, we can either hit ignore or we can delete it completely, but I am going to need it to help position, so for now it's going to stay. Let's go to layer 3, and we're going to make that engrave. Now the settings I want are going to be 10 and 200, and this is going to be score. Let's give that a setting of 30 and 80 and see how that goes. Okay, so let's just double check. This is ignore. Layer 3. I'm going to rename that. I'm going to group it. I'm going to rename this. Okay, so let's connect our device. I'm going to turn the machine on. Now we're going to measure the thickness of our material. Let's do an aimed measure. Let's select everything and move this over. Since this wood round is already cut, we're going to do a close capture view so that we can see exactly where we're lining up with our material and it's not going to go over anywhere. Let's make sure it's on our material. That's looking okay. I actually like to do a capture view of north, south, east, west on the actual positioning of the artwork so that I can be sure that it lines up. Okay, I'm actually going to delete that just to be on the safe side, even though it's ignore. Here I'm deleting that black circle that you saw earlier that I used to help me line up, because we don't need it for this particular project. I'm going to try another aimed measure again. I don't find the xTool's aimed measure to be overly accurate, so this is where it comes in handy to have a pair of digital calipers. I suggest that you use them and enter these measurements manually. I'm measuring my round with calipers first, and I'm getting a reading of 0.716. So I'm going to transfer that into the XCS design space in xTool. I actually know that my material was 0.716, so I'm going to go ahead and change that. And I'll refresh it. I'll do one last close camera capture just for good measure. Holding down Control and swiping with your mouse will allow you to zoom right in to see exactly what you're doing. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. I'm going to change this. At the last minute, I decided to change my score settings. So just be sure you're happy with all the settings before you hit process. I don't want that to go too deep, so let's give that a try. Let's get the fan going. Let's process. Engraving takes longer than any other function that you'll do with your xTool P2, so be sure to not leave your machine unattended while you're doing this. Find something else to do in the meantime that leaves you close by. Let's speed this up to see how it goes. This entire engraving process took 1 hour and 45 minutes, so it's going to be quite longer than to do something that you're simply scoring. So keep that in mind when you're designing your artwork. Right at this point is where we were at after 1 hour. We're in the home stretch. After processing all the engraving, it's now doing all the scoring of the words. A beetle by any other name would still be my ride. How true it is. How awesome is this? Now we can see how long that took. It took 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 20 seconds. I'd say for this beauty, it was well worth it. You can find the full tutorial over at birdsofafeather.ca, and don't forget to like, share, and follow right here. Want more unique crafts and DIYs? Be sure to watch another video.